Hi, this is Mark Scheffler Jr. from Last House on the Left, and you're listening to Without Your Head.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Todd Bruno.
Hi.
Hey, she, Aniela McGuinness.
Hello.
Hello. Mike Stanley.
What?
And writer-director Lou Simon of 3.
Hi.
Hey.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks
for coming on. I really appreciate it. And the movie was really cool. I just watched it for the second time, which I'll get into later. But it's repeat viewing. I think some movies sometimes you know if you watch it again you pick up stuff that you didn't see before. But if you can give like a quick idea of what the movie's about without spoiling it for people who aren't aware yet.
Okay, it's about a man and a woman who kidnap her alleged rapist in order to extract his confession, put it on tape, and you know they're willing to do a lot to get this confession, but there's questions of whether or not he actually did commit the crime, the rape.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is really interesting because you know it's kind of a topical thing, rape and accusations, and someone kind of guilty until proven innocent. And so to talk about that in a movie, I think is interesting, especially to take well, like you said, leave it up to your imagination. And I don't want to spoil the movie, but you don't know if he's guilty or not for quite a while.
Yes. Well, I think the interesting part of this is Aniela in the back over here. The interesting part of that was when Lou wrote this film and we shot it, none of this Me Too was out there. And this was very edgy and like it was we were on the cusp. And now it's amazing that this film is out. We go to VOD tomorrow, and it is the perfect timing to really have this film and this topic done in the way that Lou has written it and directed it. I think it really allows people to be put into somebody else's shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're trendsetters.
Yeah, it was definitely not being talked about at all at the time when we shot it. We definitely didn't make it and say, "Wow, we're talking about such a
Yeah, we're cutting edge. None of that. No.
You know, we're talking about something that everybody's talking about. Then all of a sudden, the year after we filmed, that's all people talked about, and it was like, oh, wow. Here we thought we were going to be like opening people's eyes, and it happened. Which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
But it was funny how it just everything changed within a few months of us shooting the film.
Right? We kicked off the Me Too movement.
They won't report it, but that was us. It was us.
Right. It's really weird. I interviewed Richard Stanley a few years ago. Actually, it was about 6 months before stuff came up with Harvey Weinstein, and he talked all about it and explained. And then, like a few months later, it all came out, and I was like, "Oh my God!" He said all this right on the podcast. It was very weird.
Yeah.
So, how did you guys all get involved? Do you all know each other before the movie?
That's a question.
Yeah, that's a deep question. So, I first met Lou shooting a film called Hazmat. That
on the wall?
is up on the wall here.
Right there.
Yeah, that's also where I met Aniela. So this is our second film working together, right?
No, third.
Third.
We were on another one that was not a Lou.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, so Aniela and I have worked before. Lou and I met on Hazmat, and this is our second film together. Mike, I still don't know Mike.
Yeah, they did. I just showed up. They didn't even tell me about this.
You were CGI'd in like Jabba.
Yeah, I'm CGI'd right now.
No, yeah, like we had all worked together and we're friends. I like to think we were friends, and then they're just not being nice to me because I keep casting them. And then the only role that remained then was Mike's role, and I have to admit that I was like a little worried about how he was going to fit, because even the crew were people we had always worked with before, so we all knew each other, and it's like, you know, you're gonna have an outsider come in and he's gonna feel really awkward. But he fit right in.
I love everybody. I love everybody. That's what it is.
He fit right in, and he was so easy to work with, and he was so ready, and he got the character, and it was like we had known him forever by the time that we started, and we literally met him the day
we started.
Like there were no rehearsals or anything, so other than talking to him on the phone, which we didn't even do that much of, it was mostly emails.
Yeah,
and it worked out perfect.
Yeah,
no, and that's
fantastic.
Sorry, you were gonna say something?
No, I was just saying it was fantastic. That was great.
I was gonna say how big a deal that is, because aside from fitting in with all of us who kind of knew each other, the crew and the cast, a lot of us had worked with each other before, and this was our first time meeting Mike. Aside from fitting in with us personality-wise, the shooting schedule was such that there were some days there was one day we had to shoot 13 pages.
That's right. We did 13 pages of dialogue.
And there are not many actors that can memorize 13 pages of dialogue to shoot in one day.
It was, to Todd's point, it was before. So when Lou had me audition for the role, and she gave me 2 auditions, and I went through, and once I knew I was doing the movie, I come from a theater background, so I really went back to some roots on that. I went through, I studied it, I hung out with a lot of my theater friends and talked to them about, hey, I haven't done stage in a number of years, but I feel that this is stage-like, if that makes any sense. It almost plays out. We actually had a reviewer that said that about talking about how 3 felt like a stage play, and but I really liked that. So that was kind of the mindset that I went into with the role of it. And it was about 2 weeks before we started, and I really dove into it. I just read it and worked on it. And so, but like Todd said, we had days where we had a lot of dialogue, and we would take that time, work through it. And we, maybe 1 or 2 times, maybe we would trip over a line or 2, but for the most part, we were in sync. We really worked well with each other. It was a fantastic experience.
Mm-hmm. It is a dialogue-heavy film, and there's essentially 3 roles in it. So, you have to have 3 people that work well together, and because if you had one person, it would be 1/3 of the movie that doesn't work. So, what was it about Mike that you felt was right for it?
It's interesting. I got to get naked. No.
You're asking me why I cast?
Yeah. Right. Oh. Well, I'll ask you, and then I'll ask Mike.
Let's forget about the naked part. Anyway, go ahead. We never do.
I honestly, I thought when he did his audition, and it was flawless. But I actually saw his resume, and he was 6'5", and Todd is not.
I'm not now. No.
Todd is not, and I thought, how the hell am I going to be able to carry that up?
Right.
And I think it works. Like, nobody's mentioned, anything. But, there's quite a bit of a height difference. And it was like, okay, well, we have to somehow believably have him be the shorter guy, be the one that kidnapped the much taller guy. But it seems to work. Nobody said anything.
Nobody has said anything. And I run into that with casting all the time.
Yeah.
But I want to say, would you just watch 3? It works.
That was the only thing that I was worried about. That was the only reason he didn't get cast. Because everything else, I was like, I know he's perfect, but how are we going to do this? And it was actually Todd who championed the eventual, we'll make it work. You can do it. Mm-hmm. You can do it. You can do it, and you can make it work with them. Like, oh, okay, sure.
And credit to Bill, the DP on the film. He was able to frame it up in your direction, and I mean, it works. It works.
Bill's the one who made it work. My suggestion was I just walk around with a ladder.
Yeah, a step ladder would work.
Yeah, that's fine.
It doesn't mean like a 6-foot ladder. Yeah. So, what interested you got Aniela and Todd in the movie?
Well, I don't even know if you could say what interested me in it. Lou wrote it with me in mind for the character. This is my 3rd film with Lou, and I was supposed to do All Girls Weekend, but right when we were getting closer to shooting, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so I couldn't be tortured in the woods by Lou in the middle of chemo, even though she really wanted to. And we discussed it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I might die. Like, I might actually die.
That's actually so not true. It was the complete opposite. I was saying, okay, you really need to take care of yourself now. We'll do something better. She's like, no, I think I can do it. No, I know you can't. You have to go. And then it was, originally she wasn't supposed to have chemo.
No, yeah.
It was just a surgery, and you wanted to do it right after the surgery, and I'm like, that's crazy. But then once they told you
chemotherapy
that you had to do chemo, that's when you're like, okay, maybe you're right.
I think Snow during that movie, I probably would not be here today if I had done that movie. And not like I wouldn't have been in this film. I mean, I would have been dead.
Mm-hmm.
But part of the reason why I wrote this is because she wouldn't take no for an answer. She was so adamant she could do it. And I was like, look, I'll write a part for you. Just shut up and you can go take care of yourself. So that's why I ended up fulfilling my promise, and I wrote the part of she for her.
Mm-hmm. How about the names themselves? She, he, and it. When did you decide that's how you would name the characters?
It started with the fact that the guy who was kidnapped, there's a lot of dialogue, and there's a lot about how do you make it so you are sensitized or whatever, so that you can actually torture somebody. So you can't make them human. So you have to see them as an it. Mm-hmm. So there's quite a bit of dialogue about that. Call him it. Don't say him. It's it. And then so I never was gonna give the person who's kidnapped a name. And then once I did that, then it was like, well, what do I call the guy and girl? And they do eventually get names. At the very end, they do call each other by names. But it's kind of, I hate it in movies when like you have two people talking and they constantly saying each other's names.
Uh-huh.
You don't do that in real life. You don't like go like, hi Neil, how are you, Neil? So it's like only talking to each other, and they're never going to introduce themselves to somebody else. How would you ever say their names? So it was just one of those things that that it just seemed like fitting for that.
Yeah. And I think it can be, you could take that meaning in different ways. Like you said, dehumanizing him if you're going to torture him. And also the idea if he did, rape someone, he's not a person, he's an it, he's like subhuman. So I think you could take it a couple different ways, which is interesting.
Yeah, for me, actually, it's interesting you say that because naming the characters he, she, and it, if you look at it from the complete opposite point of view, that these people could be anyone. Mm-hmm. They could be you, they could be me, they could be your neighbor. This kind of thing can happen to anyone. Mm-hmm. So naming them with generic pronouns kind of, in a sense, I think maybe a callback to the Greek tragedies where there's the everyman character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think most people, if they would hear like a rapist or a child molester got tortured, people would be like, well, they deserve anything that happens to them. So, you could see a normal person doing this or being okay with it. But then as the movie progresses, it does, I think, makes you ask yourself as a person, is that the right thing to do? Because unless you know for sure that they've done this.
Mm-hmm. And even then, I mean, I don't know.
Sure.
Even if the person did do it, but that question I've been asked on many other movies that I saw that were similar in tone, like 7 Days or a couple more like that, where it is, well, if he did do it, does exacting justice like that, does that okay? So there's a little bit about that, but mostly it's more about, you could be wrong.
Mm-hmm. So where did you film the movie? Whose basement?
He never knew we were there.
It was a house in Chattanooga. He was the uncle of a friend. my friend had mentioned it to me years before. He's like, I have an uncle who has his house in Chattanooga. You have to film something there. It's so weird and freaky. And at the time I thought, yeah, right. And then when we couldn't find a house that really fit everything that we needed anywhere else, or at least nowhere else that was affordable, we said, well, let's take a trip up there. And we saw it, and it was better than we could have ever imagined. And had we had it to ourselves, it would have been perfect. The problem is that we had rented it for a whole month, and somehow when we showed up, there were people there. So we had to shoot around 5 different tenants that were staying at the house.
Any interesting stories about that? Anyone walking in on the set? Or?
Oh yeah. Who wants to go first?
That's the question. Oh my goodness. Who wants to start? Who's story wants to start? You want to start?
No, I'm just going to cede that. I wasn't there when they started, but I've heard stories about how there was a pool party going on, and people were like taking the craft services. So if you guys want to take up any of that.
And the fact that there was a pool party, no, look at the pool. And it's green. It's empty. That's all it is. So the fact they're even having a party by the pool is,
The Chattanooga pool party.
It was a Chattanooga pool party.
We had people. The first day, because they told their friends we were shooting, so of course more people came, and there were already 5 people staying there. And then so it was dealing with the noise. They were walking, and then we had a lot of equipment, and they're walking, and we're busy, filming in a basement. So we literally had to put a guy up front to guard our stuff to make sure nobody walked off with it. I walk in at break, and they're eating our food. They constant noise and screaming. The TV upstairs.
Not me and Todd.
Right? No, that would have nothing, because the whole thing is they're supposed to be in this place in this house in the middle of nowhere, and you have all this background noise. They flushed the toilet. You could hear on sound.
The TV.
People walking, TV. Everything, and it was a nightmare. The first couple of days have to be one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Remembering to cut off the air conditioning because it was like 98 degrees, and of course, all right, we're rolling. Let's turn the air conditioning on. You had to remember things like that too.
Well, but on top of it, I think also just a random story is the owner of the house decided to make us fried green tomatoes. In the middle of shooting, which was very kind of him. But the sound guy, we're in the middle of this very serious scene, and he's like, "What's that sound?" Like he's picking it up on the mic, and it's like frying tomatoes.
I heard this story.
Oh yeah.
And they're coming in, and we're like, "No!" It was sweet of him, but no. Every sound could be picked up. Which was incredible. It was.
Yeah. We have really good video of the back, because they had an in-law quarter, and we had great video of the person who lived there coming out and just telling us off because we kept cutting off. We kept telling her she had to please turn off the TV because we were capturing it on sound, and she was like, "I have a tenant here and I have rights."
My favorite location story is all those living rooms, like the what do you call that room? The sunroom. The sunroom scene with the sofa, he and she on the sofa. All those scenes. That room. When we first scouted the location, the homeowner said this floor will be finished. There was no floor. It just went straight into the basement. An unfinished basement that looked like a cavern. All those scenes when you see Mike walking through this a cavern, it looks like a cave.
Dirt.
Yeah, dirt. That was the real basement of the house.
That's it. Yeah.
And this room, there was no floor, and you could just see you drop straight down into this cavernous basement. The homeowner promised us the floor will be finished. We arrive on set to actually shoot, and of course, the floor. There's no floor. There's no. So all of those scenes on the sofa, what you don't see beneath the frame is that there is no floor. There are there are the rafters, and then plywood that we put the sofa on, and then we
balanced it. Balance the sofa on.
We have 2x8s running from the house to the sofa, a couple of them, so that we can each get to the sofa. But they're 8 inches wide. So we take one step to the left or the right, and there's a 20-foot drop into the basement.
Better was that, so in that scene, Todd has to come running in, like storming in. Well, every time he'd walk, everything would bounce. Yeah. And so the camera, and so he's having to like storm in, but with like gentle ballerina feet, to not shake the camera guys and the monitors and everything, or just not to die.
Yeah.
It was a rot. Like it added to the tension, to say the least.
So just like most studio films. Say what?
Yeah. And we all got our Cirque du Soleil cards.
Right. We all. I learned a lot, I'll tell you that.
How tired did your arms get, Mike? Being home?
It's actually by day 4 or 5, I could lift a Volkswagen. Let me tell you, it wasn't as bad as it seemed, but laying on the table, it was actually very that did a lot of work. But you do it, and it's I slept a lot once we wrapped. So yeah.
What is that like to film torture scenes? What kind of mindset do you get into for that? And Mike,
what's funny is this isn't the first time I've been tied up to a table.
In a movie.
Well, I mean,
in a movie, right.
Like in a movie. Yeah, I mean, I generally pay for it on Tuesdays, but that's a completely different story. No, I actually how Lou and I first came into contact. So a mutual friend of ours, Chris Etheridge, he directed a film that I was in called Attack of the Morningside Monster. And in that film, I'm actually toward the end, I'm actually tied up on a table, very similar. So the joke is, it's like, that's my thing. I'm the guy that's tied up on the table, at the end of a movie. So this is old hat for me.
Well, how about you? You're the one who did the torture.
So, I mean, I've done it. To answer your question, how do you get in that mindset? I've done it before, and it's just basically you have to go with Lou's script. I just had to see where's the character at that point, and you just go from there. She either says, "Great, that's an excellent take," or "That really sucked. We're going to shoot that again." And thankfully, we got it. So, yeah.
So, how about Todd for the mind of the torturer?
Yeah. So that was difficult. That was really difficult. I won't lie to you. One of the things that attracted me to the script in the first place when Lou sent it to me was I read it, and I read this character, and my first thought was, oh my God, I wonder if I can even do that. Because it's such a complex character. And the torture scenes are just a part of it. And I mean, the torture scene, it's just a matter of mindset. Everything with an actor is a matter of mindset. If you set your mind up right, make yourself believe that these circumstances are real, you can do just about anything. I mean, there's a theory about acting, about character, that there's no such thing. I mean, David Mamet says there's no such thing as character. It's just, we are what we do. And no matter which of us you choose, you set up the right circumstances, and we are all capable of anything. So that's sort of where I came at this from. I set up this, I would read the scene and say, okay, this is what I have to do in this scene. Now, under what circumstances would I do this? And then I set those circumstances up in my mind, tried to make myself believe it, and then wait for Lou to say action and see what happens. And it was it was fun. It was core. Of course, when you have a core group like this, and we all very quickly, Aniela and I knew each other from before, and Mike and I like instantly kind of hit it off. So
it helps when we make each other laugh in between takes too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you have to. Yeah.
When you're comfortable with each other, you you have the freedom to fuck up and not worry about it.
True. Yeah.
Lou, is the story inspired by anything?
Not really. I mean, I did do some reading on a specific case, but I can't really talk about it without giving away the twist.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I can't really say it was one specific, like historical story or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, unfortunately, today we are doing our press junket, so we're actually hitting our time where I know we have to get to
okay. Sure.
Which is the only reason Lou was looking down at her phone is because we are on a tight schedule.
Yes.
We're enjoying this interview so thoroughly.
I thought she got a Snapchat. I didn't know. I just,
But unfortunately, I know we're going to have to go.
All right. I thought maybe she had an auction on eBay that was about to go off. Well, I appreciate both all four of you coming on, and I really dug the movie, and it comes out tomorrow on video on demand. 3, I believe they added an eye for an eye to the top.
Yep. And thank you for watching it twice, you said.
Yes, you watched it twice. We didn't get to talk about that.
Which is great.
Which needs to happen. You have to watch it twice. Once you find out the twist, you want to go and see where the hints are.
Because all of the clues are in there. You have to watch it again, and you'll see the clues.
Yes. So thank you so very much. Genuinely appreciate it. I know Lou's setting us up for our next interview.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you all again. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Neil. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Erica Irvin. I'm also known as Amazon Eve, and you are listening to Without Your Head. Ooh.